Good morning everyone. Today I'm in SM Clark for a PUV Modernization Program event. They're actually having some speeches over there, although they're running a couple of hours late, so I decided, well, all the media are over there, we can go and take a look at all the modernized Jeeps, because later when everyone's out here it's going to be a nightmare. So you'll see there's various brands here, and I know everyone's going to say, hey, they don't look anything like a jeepney. Well, a rose by any other name. These are modernized jeepneys. A lot of these I've shown in previous videos before, but some of them I've never seen before. So it's good to see them. There's even some Philippine made ones here, and that's what they're really pushing for, is actually manufacturing and making these in the Philippines. So of course this Star 8 jeepney you've seen in a lot of my videos in the past is completely electric, and it has solar panels on top to extend the range. It doesn't run purely from solar. It does have batteries inside, lead acid batteries. I think some of the modernized jeepneys are on lithium batteries, but many of them are still on lead acid. And a nice upgrade to these Star 8 Jeeps is they now have an LED billboard at the back and the front. So that would say something like Ayala to Cubao or something like that. So you'll see this one over here. This is actually the first time I saw it today from Tojo Motors. Electric jeepney, proudly Pinoy. One thing you will notice is it has a backup camera. And actually this is something that all modernized jeepneys are hopefully going to have, is CCTV inside plus dash cams. Over here is the Hino jeepneys. I don't know if they fixed the problem with the aircon. I rode a couple of these, I don't know, maybe 6 months or a year ago, and the aircon just couldn't keep up with the number of people inside. It was getting hotter inside the jeepney compared to outside. This one over here is from Isuzu, of course a very popular brand, and this one over here is more well-known locally, Santa Rosa. They've actually made a number of different modernized Jeep prototypes. I'm not sure what their final design is like, but the idea is to make them more comfortable, to make them more ecological friendly, so for example electric, or at least a minimum of Euro 4 diesel. And yeah, I know they don't look like the traditional jeepney, and some people said, hey, why not at least try and make it look like a jeepney? Well, the truth is they're putting comfort and practicality over looks. Here's another one that I haven't seen before, Imperial, Euro 6. Wow, that's the first one I've seen, this Euro 6. Most of them are just Euro 4. That's very interesting. Of course, on some jeepneys like the ones from Star 8, you'll find extras. For example, it's got USB charging for each seat. See those black boxes there? And then user controlled cooling fans up above. So there's lots of little extras that have been built into these modernized jeepneys. Now you may have noticed that this Star 8 jeepney is branded as e-Sakai from Meralco, because Meralco bought a bunch of units to run around the city. And of course that makes sense, because Meralco, they run the electricity, so of course they want to push electric jeepneys. Now it's not just about modernizing the engine, there's other changes as well. For example, side loading, so you get on and off at the sidewall instead of the existing jeepneys where you get on and off at the back. Another difference is the height of the ceiling. It has to be a minimum height. I can't remember the exact specification, but pretty much in any modernized jeepney I can stand up straight and my head doesn't hit, so it's a lot easier for people to get on and off. So the idea of today's event is, they call it like a caravan, and it's going to be going all around the Philippines to try and make everyone aware of what's going on with PUV modernization, to make them aware of what's available, also to connect people. So for example, manufacturers, operators, existing jeepney drivers and things like that, and try and connect everyone together so they can share their knowledge. So you'll see over here is a class 3 jeepney. This is the biggest of all of the Jeeps, and it pretty much looks like a truck, to be honest, a converted truck with a lot of seats in the back. Let's see how many seats this actually has. So if we look at the specs here, it says 23 plus the driver. So this is the kind of Jeep that you could expect to see on Commonwealth, because it's a high capacity and high volume route. If you look over here, this is from Toyota, and of course Toyota is such a popular brand in the Philippines. It means getting replacement parts is super easy, maintenance is super easy because everyone knows how to work on them. And I don't think this is something they custom made like the other companies. I think this is just an off-the-shelf coaster, and as long as it meets the requirements with regards to height, width, number of seats and things like that, side loading, then I suppose it's okay. And if it's pre-made, it's probably cheaper because they don't have to make something custom just for the Philippines. This one over here is branded as the Zongtong bus. There's also a lot of low floor buses from that same company that are being rolled out as part of a bus modernization program around the Philippines, although there's not much to see on that yet, but it is coming. Low floor city buses, much better than what's being used on EDSA right now. What's this one? CD. See, there's so many new ones here that I haven't seen, so it's useful that I went here. But they're all pretty similar, to be honest. Euro 4 minimum. That one over there was Euro 6. Some of them are electric, some of them have AC. In fact, most of these have AC. Now that does raise the question, are you going to pay more? Now some people in the past have said, oh, it's going to be an extra 20 peso, extra 30 peso. No, that's not true, because there's already aircon jeepneys in Metro Manila, and normally it's only an extra 2 peso. So are you willing to pay 2 peso for an aircon ride? I think a lot of people are. And if you don't want to pay that extra, well, you still have the classic jeepney that you can ride to save a couple of peso. You see this one over here is the Gazelle. To me it looks a bit like a Ford Transit van, but with a lot of extra windows. You can see a Euro 4 diesel engine, 23-seater including driver, with room for at least 8 standing passengers, convenient handrails with stop request buttons, so people don't have to shout out "para." They can just press the button. So right now I'm standing in one of the jeepneys, and that's the important thing. I'm standing and there's still extra space above my head, and I'm very tall, so that's one of the benefits. Over here is the CCTV, which I talked about earlier. I don't know if this one has dash cams yet. Oh, it does, I can see it there. So there's a lot of extra requirements for the PUV modernization to make things better. Some of them even have Wi-Fi, free Wi-Fi on board. So this one is aircon, but it looks like you could also open the windows if you wanted to. Now, of course, some people have been asking me, where are the modernized jeepneys? Where can I find one? Where can I ride them? Well, they're already on routes around Metro Manila, but it takes a while to roll out something like this, and there is an expense. People have to buy the new units, they have to change all the paperwork with LTFRB, so don't expect overnight, but you can actually see many of these around Metro Manila already. So if you've ridden one of these modernized jeepneys, maybe you can leave a comment down below and tell us how your experience was.
As always, occasions like this, I'm very happy, because this is a strong manifestation of the collaborative effort of both public and private partnership insofar as pushing the implementation of the Public Utility Vehicle Modernization Program. But this is about having to push modernization by government, and we have to take a lead. No less, notwithstanding the strong support of the private sector. Alam natin, nagsisimula ito doon sa pagkapanalo ni Mayor Duterte as President. And one of the things that he mentioned was having to modernize public transport. Alam din natin na may time frame yung pag-uupo niya sa pwesto. Pati na rin kami na nasa Department of Transportation, LTFRB, LTO. So, kailangan natin maisaayos na at ma-implement at mapabilis yung pag-i-implement. Alam din natin na hindi natin pwedeng i-implement lang ito ng kahit na mabilisan without having to take into account the interests of the drivers and the operators. And more importantly, the riding public. Kaya nga, in all the components of the PUV Modernization Program, isa-isa at minsan a combination of all these stakeholders are being conducted, whether it be with banks, whether it be with suppliers, whether it be with co-ops, whether it be with commuters groups, or corporations who are into public transport, or a combination of all these stakeholders. We need to take them into account, we need to take them on board so that we would be successful in implementing the program.
Why are we saying that this will lead to the development of our economy? Chairman Chuck already mentioned Tacloban, a very sleepy town if any one of you knows Tacloban. The malls there close as early as 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. The same with any other provincial towns in the Philippines. Tulog na yung tao pagdating ng alas 7. And number one cause of that is there is lack of public transportation. There is lack of public transportation. That's why people will want to go home early. If you stay late at night in your office, you don't have a ride going home. And what the government has done for Tacloban is to introduce that PUV modernization concept wherein the route is being run by a cooperative, a corporation. The route is being run efficiently, reliably, so that people will feel safe, will feel comfortable when they go home, even late at night. So now, that area in Tacloban has already adjusted because of that public service that's already being introduced. The malls has expanded their operation hours to even as late as 9, 10 o'clock. It resounds now to more businesses, more economic activities in the countryside. And that's why we are really focusing on this program. We are focusing on the improvement of our national economy. We are not just focusing on modernizing the jeepney units, but the bottom line is we will want to have a modernized Philippine society, a modern and developed Philippine economy through better public transportation. And having said that, we are not only modernizing the units, we are also modernizing the way we operate these units. That's why we have our co-ops here now, we have OTC, we have private AFCS providers. We want reliability in public transportation. How can we have reliability when we have the old system wherein single franchise, single operator, single driver, boundary system? It leads to inefficiency of our public transportation service. Pag yung driver hindi pumasok kasi lasing no the previous day, yung operator walang kikitain na boundary. Yung driver wala ring sisweldohin. Yung commuter walang masasakyan kasi walang papasada. It leads to inefficiency of our public transportation service. That's why the government has partnered with TESDA. In fact, we have launched the TESDA scholarship program wherein we will be giving operators, drivers, and their beneficiaries, even their sons, even their wives, scholarships, trainings to improve their skills, to improve how they operate public transportation. Number one, you have modernized units, but you don't know how to financially manage the fleet. You don't know how to properly dispatch the fleet. So that's why we're providing that trainings now. Hindi lang natin imo-modernize yung mga jeepney, imo-modernize din natin yung ating mga operator. We will also modernize yung ating mga driver. Never has government done this before. It's only now that the government is providing that support to the public transport operators. The buses that you see here, look at that bus, Victory Liner, Genesis. Every 15 years, they modernize without government support. The taxis that you see, every how many years? 13 years? They modernize without government support, without a single centavo from the government. But this time, the jeepneys we're asking to modernize, government is not only giving 80,000 pesos per unit, government through the financing institutions, Land Bank and DBP, is providing that very good financing package, the 5-6-7 formula. 5% down payment, 6% interest rate, 7 years to pay, just so that the jeepney operators, the jeepney drivers can finance these units. It's only now that government gives that subsidy, gives that level of financing. So I'm telling everyone, the jeepney operators, the jeepney drivers here, take advantage take advantage of that opportunity